What's up, Keegan?
Hello, how are you doing?
Like a new.
No complaints aside.
Good.
Champions League,
Yeah, it's been a minute, eh?
yeah. I was quite
I see,
surprised we had Champions League, but that's all good.
I see Kurt has been having some connection issues here. It looks like he's back, so let's see if we can get him in with us. Seems a bit slow. Okay. Well, while we wait for Kurt, we can take this opportunity to chat about another big event coming up, the UFC this weekend. Many oaks are
Mm.
saying probably the best, probably not the best fight card of the year, but the headline fight is probably one of the best fights of the year.
Yeah, I guess it depends how you look at it. I mean, I guess it's definitely exciting. Um, I'm quite looking forward to that co-main event as well. I think that was also a good one. But yeah, Khabib with quite a long layoff. Gaethje, obviously the talk of the town at the moment. But he's walking into it's a different arena he walks into.
Yeah.
Everyone that just Khabib knows what the outcome is, and everyone keeps saying, but this is Khabib's biggest test. He's got to watch out for this guy. This guy brings all this sorts of dangers, and they're also great wrestlers and blah blah blah. But nothing
Nothing
has really
to trouble him.
tested him yet. So it's exciting on that point of view.
Yeah. Look, I must say, personally, I still wish that it would have been Ferguson against Khabib, because that's a fight I think we all need to see. But obviously, Gaethje sort of not came from nowhere, but I mean, he was a completely different fighter in that fight against Ferguson to what we've seen. So he obviously deserves it. But I don't know. I just can't
The thing is,
see.
he manhandled Ferguson, like
Yeah,
manhandled him.
the thing I think that he did very well in that fight was managing himself in terms of, like, I know at one stage his coach was also telling him not to try and kill the guy, which is
Hmm.
been his undoing in previous fights where he goes two balls to the wall and then it ends up not working out for him. So I think if he's going to have that same patience in the Khabib fight, as occurred,
What's up, gentlemen?
Oh,
yeah, I think if he's going to have the same patience in the Khabib fight, then he's definitely setting himself up for a much better chance.
yeah, definitely. Listen, it's his first ever fight for the big belt. Khabib's doing this what, number 5, 6, whatever. It's always a different kettle of fish. You've got to go. It's like John Jones walking into a ring at the moment. I mean, there's no pressure anymore of big. And these fighters that come up against Khabib, they've never been up there, never fought for that championship. It's a different pressure. I mean, I've been watching Unbedded, and I mean, it's like a big thing. He's taken his parents with him to Abu Dhabi and all those things, and those are added little pressures and added little things. I know they're always with him, but I mean, those once you get to the big stage, the big guys, they've done it, they've seen it, they know, what it's all about. There's no like extra little pressures about it. And I
Yeah.
think you see a real angry Khabib come out, especially like after the year he's had losing his dad and everything. So I think he's going to put on a bit of a show.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, obviously, with his dad, I mean, that's a different sort of motivation because obviously everyone knows how close they were and him being his coach his whole life. But I was also thinking about the fans, and I know a lot of people have been speaking about certain fighters that are obviously embracing the no fans thing better than others. But I think if there's one guy that would probably prefer no fans, it would be Khabib because he's such a
Yeah.
focused guy and Like he's not in it really for the fans, or he's not, that flashy type of guy. So I think that's also a big plus point for Khabib, is the fact that there's no fans. He can just go in there, do his job that he prefers to do and that he always fucking does, and more people.
That's it. That's it. It's one of those things. It's interesting. That one's going to be. It's interesting to see how this week plays out because there's not that. I mean, there's media attention, but there's not that much media stuff. I mean, the media duties have dropped off quite a bit, so they just do the odd thing now and then. And yeah, it should be interesting. The second co-main event, Whittaker Cannonier, is pretty cool as well because the winner there will. If it's Cannonier, he's definitely going to fight Izzy, so that'll be great.
Yeah.
But I think the other things are pretty much run-of-the-mill stuff. I mean, Volkov, I can see him winning his quite easily, and the rest, yeah, it's pretty 50-50, I mean, up there. But exciting fight week. But we've got
that Cannonier fight, I'm also very interested in, especially because, like you mentioned, whoever wins basically gets a shot at the title. Whittaker, obviously, he's been there, done that. So I must say I would really prefer Cannonier to win just for that, just to give Izzy a new look in and see what he does. And then I'm sure Whittaker will have another opportunity down the line to face Izzy again. Well, obviously assuming that Izzy remains champion then.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. If Curtie's in, we can go straight to footy.
Yeah, Curtie.
See, he was lagging a little bit.
Yeah. He's a bit up and down like both United and Chelsea this season. Curtie. Well, anyway, let's go. We can have a chat about Liverpool and United seemingly trying to change the landscape of football completely these days. First with their project Big Picture vote, and then that got canned. And now, just about an hour ago, there's reports on Sky that Liverpool and United are in advanced talks with FIFA to join what they're calling for now the European Premier League.
Yeah, I really don't know what to make of it too much because, I mean, we're speaking off air. I mean, this has been in talks for quite a few years now. It's just been named something different.
Yeah.
And it was all sorts. It was first, it was like Barcelona, Real Madrid, like pushing it with Juve and all those things. And then with United and Liverpool. And it's difficult. I mean, I just can't see it happening. I honestly, as much as this might be super, super close or whatever, I just can't see that this really going through. And yes, it could be exciting, but to be honest, it's not going to be more exciting. I still prefer a good old Champions League. Qualify and get in the Champions League and play.
Well, that's the thing. I don't really see. Obviously, I see the appeal of it, but I don't see the appeal of it that would make it so much better than the Champions League. The only thing you could maybe look at is that they're speaking that it's going to be a round robin tournament where you're playing a home and away, and then at the end only there'll be a knockout stage, so it'll be a bit more like a league than purely knockout. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just going to cause cuck with fixture congestion and all of that, and obviously it's going to do huge damage to UEFA, which is obviously not the best thing in my opinion. I think it just smacks of FIFA just fucking being greedy.
Well, Kurt probably knows.
I don't know. Well, I haven't really given it I haven't read into it that much yet, but I was actually planning on doing tomorrow for the show that we're doing with the Duma, the podcast show. But I just think that it's going to be met with too much uproar. Like Keegan says, I can't picture it going through because of the smaller clubs in Europe not being happy with it. So I just don't know if it's going to work. I also think that it would impact on all the leagues that those teams are from, the Premier League, La Liga, especially if there's more money in this Super League than there is in La Liga, Premier League, Bundesliga. I already saw one journalist, like a really big journalist that I follow, saying that he wouldn't be surprised that if these teams were to break away and form the Super League, that there would be an exclusive channel that you have to subscribe to and pay money to in order to access those games. And like you said, it all stinks of FIFA or the rich trying to get richer during these times. So I don't know. I personally, like, I mean, isn't that what the fucking Champions League is for? You know, the European
that's
Super
what I
League.
thought.
You're just rebranding essentially, but the Champions League is still there.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I agree that, like, I just don't
Yeah,
see...
well, exactly. Yeah, I just, look, it's been,
I don't see how this can possibly go, like, down, like, because what's the point? Surely the Champions League's going to suffer the most. I mean, what's the point of the Champions League then?
Of what I've read now, the Champions League would have to basically either shut down or become like a second-tier league for everyone else, because they're planning to play it in the normal European season, and they're also planning to play midweek games. And fuck me, you can't. There's no way you can fit any more games, you know, with your normal league season and Champions League. So to me, it's like a big fuck you to UEFA and just saying, like, you know, you guys figure something out to play around this.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, that's exactly, those are my thoughts. Like, where do they fit these games in? You know, when do these games take place? Do they
maybe no international breaks
take place? Well, I mean, there has to be international breaks because, you know, there are big international tournaments that come around every 2 years.
Just cancel international football.
Yeah.
Well, look, I would be fucking in for that because if, you know, did you guys watch any of the international football? It's really football at the lowest standard.
I think what bothers me the most is I could understand if you're sitting with a situation like where rugby is at, with a tournament like Super Rugby that's not working anymore. But football's just growing and growing, and the easiest way to see that is the money people are spending on transfers. I mean, players are getting more and more expensive, which means there's more and more money in the game. So why try and fix something if it's not broken, you know?
It's definitely great. It's just the money making.
Yeah,
like, it's the only way they're getting those clubs are involved is saying, if you're part of the founding club, if you're part of the founders clubs of this tournament, you are going to get X, Y, and Z. Can you say no to this money? And let's be honest, with the pandemic that's come around and money at the gates and all of those things, from that point of view, I can see clubs jumping on it because you can make a quick full bill what you lost. I mean, it's at the end of the day, this is sport. Also, at the end of the day, football's become a business now, so it wouldn't freaking surprise me at all if it does get sneaked in.
Yeah, look, I won't be. They're saying.
I saw another little. Jeez. I saw another little prediction from that same journalist saying that he wouldn't be surprised if. Yeah, sorry guys, my internet's so poor, so every now and then I might drop out. I'm sorry about that. Let me just take that out.
No worries.
But this guy made a prediction that he wouldn't be surprised if these Premier League clubs, i.e. Liverpool, Manchester United, who were for the project big picture, turn around and say, well, we tried to do this another way, and we didn't, you know, that didn't work, so now we're just going to break off into the European Super League. So to use the project big picture failing as an excuse to branch off, which isn't a bad shout either.
What I also read, I can't remember now where I saw it, either on Twitter or possibly on Sky, or maybe I heard it. with someone saying that that could also possibly be a reason why United and Liverpool were so keen on big picture to make the league smaller, so that you have a little bit less games and all of that. But I mean, I don't think that would have such a big impact
Yeah.
to justify a whole jump like this.
Well, I guess we just got to wait and see what it is now, because it's all he said, she said, and obviously there's news likes to break early in the UK and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things can change so quickly. Like I said, this supposed league it's nothing new. We've been hearing rumors about this for absolute years now.
Exactly.
And it's almost like this pandemic has maybe kicked it into a different gear. It could have been because of money wise. But I also don't think it's as black and white as we think it is, where it's been like, okay, right, we're packing up, we're going to go join that. I don't think, because I'm pretty sure FAs are going to start getting involved.
Yeah. Yeah, so I suppose we'll see.
Yeah,
But there
definitely.
was a fun little breaking piece of information ahead of the football this week. Before we go into the Champions League, I feel that we probably should have done this in the beginning, but to have a little bit of a moment in silence for Van Dijk after this weekend. So apparently, according to the Liverpool fans, he's basically died now. Entertaining way to start the week.
Is that the moment of silence done now?
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah,
Rest
listen.
in peace. Rest in peace.
I've been I had my say on Twitter and that about it, and I'm like, he's not the first player in the world to get injured with a bad tackle and the person walking away scot-free who's made the bad tackle. These things happen. I understand VAR should be making those calls, but people need to understand VAR isn't the rules. VAR is there to implement the rules better. So at the end of the day, it's a refereeing call. Whether ref on the field or refs upstairs, people can scream and shout about VAR all they want, but VAR doesn't make the rules. And if you're going to, it's a terrible tackle. Yes, it deserves a red. But also it doesn't. I looked down the line in that same game. There were other tackles that were red cards as well. There was one that was missed in midfield. People say Robertson was pushed. I don't know. I've seen those games, especially in derbies, Merseyside derbies. There's lots of kicking out, lashing out. Just because Allen doesn't get injured doesn't mean it's not a lash out and not a kick out at a player. But because the star man gets injured off a bad tackle, it's now all over the news. We obviously know the media in England are going to have a field day with it as well and milk it for all it can. But it's football. These things do happen. I mean, and just one of those things, unfortunately. I mean, we hope he comes back and he's still a top player. And
the reason
the injury, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. The reason that I sympathize with Liverpool and with Jurgen Klopp is because I think that Pickford, had he been sent off 10 minutes into the match, the result could have been far different. So I understand the frustration from that end, but like you said, Keegan, Van Dijk isn't the first player to suffer a big injury like that, and Pickford isn't the first player to get away with a tackle like that. So I do believe that it's very extremist right now on Twitter, especially the Liverpool fans. Would there be such an uproar if this was, a Crystal Palace midfielder that no one ever talks about? Probably not.
Yeah.
No one would be talking about this. There wouldn't be 3 segments a day on Sky Sports about this. So I do believe it's a huge overreaction. Again, I do think that, card, as Gillian says there in the comments, I do believe that he should have been red carded. I think that if they can rewind and fast forward in slow motion to see whether Van Dijk was offside in that play, they can do the same thing with the tackle and then determine that Pickford has made a reckless and rash challenge and deserves to be red carded. So 100%, I sympathise from that end, because Liverpool might have grabbed all 3 points had he been sent off 10 minutes in. It would have been a massive advantage for Liverpool, but I think everyone needs to calm the fuck down.
So my question is, and I always think this when these type of things happen, is I know in rugby they can take retrospective action against players for things like this. Is it fair to do that in this case? To say, okay, cool. Obviously, you can't change the result, which makes it difficult for Liverpool. They're not really getting the justice that they probably deserve. But then at least afterwards, go and say, look, we had a look at the tapes and it should have been a red. So at least give the guy a 3-match ban or whatever.
I think, Ryan, can I answer first? I think that no, because it's such a grey area and a slippery slope. I think that if the FA were to take retrospective action against Pickford, then teams in the Premier League can come, crawling out the woodwork to say that they've had the same thing happen to them, and where is the action against the player who did that to their player 5-10 years ago? Can we be compensated for that, or things like that? I just feel like it could get a little silly. It's the referee. It's up to the referee.
Yeah. Obviously, you'll have to put in something that it starts from sort of.
No, definitely. But I just think the rules state that the on-field referee, if it's not in his match report, then no further action can be taken. If the referee had written, we need to investigate this Pickford challenge, then they probably could have. But I don't think so. I think it's a slippery slope. I don't think that we should be going down that route. I think we should leave it up to the match officials, the match day match officials. So yeah, thank you, Gillian.
But in that case, I would at least say that we do need VAR to be better in calls.
Oh, of course. It's fucking embarrassing. It really is embarrassing.
I think at the end of the day, and I agree with Kurt there, I think you're opening up a can of worms and you're giving yourself extra problems if you're going to allow that retrospective action to happen.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is where does it stop? Is it now just bad challenges? Is it, where does it stop? It could be anything on the field at the end of the day. So where do you line with it? Can you, just because it was a bad challenge, say now there was an incident in the field, players surround the referee and put their hands on the referee, say now they do a Di Maria, what he did for United, and put his hands on the referee. Now, do we go back and do we give him a red card for touching the referee? Where does it stop? It just gets worse and worse and worse. It will just go bigger. And I don't think you can have that in football.
Yeah.
It just becomes an absolute dog show. And it's part of the bad. It's I understand it's a crappy tackle, and I understand that he's gotten away with one. But I'm also, unfortunately, you go into these things and you're a footballer for a reason that these things could happen. And I said the best way that you can solve these things with derby games is if refs are on top of it from the first whistle. I've always said in these derby games, you got your referee that's hard ass from the get-go. You don't allow these little niggly things to happen around the park. I think
you don't allow the frustration to build up because now 3 or 4 tackles haven't been yellow carded where maybe should have, or you almost want to go whatever the first shit tackle, even if it's not that bad, just give a guy a card to let people know you're not taking shit.
Yeah, and I think that's where you spot on that VAR needs to be better at that. But we also, the referees need to get better at that as well. We're not saying throw cards out for anything, but we're saying manage the derbies better. Don't allow it to get to that stage or that point.
Yeah.
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 All right, then moving on
That's
to
what I mean.
United.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kurt, go ahead.
Yeah.
And
Kurt,
Kurt is just
Yeah. They haven't really worked out. They haven't really found that balance yet with VAR being introduced. They haven't found the balance between. No, they just haven't found the balance between. Sorry, there must be a delay on my side. They haven't found the balance between a match official, the referee, being allowed to make, overturn VAR or make his own decisions, go against VAR, act instinctively like that referee would have been doing for the 30 years prior to that Premier League match. So, yeah, I think that they need to work that balance out. But, I think how long have we had VAR now? 2-3 seasons? They really should have done this by now. But having said that, they still get these calls massively wrong in La Liga every week. And they've had it for longer. So at some point, we need to be honest with ourselves and say, well, is it actually worth it? Is this creating more drama? Allowed to make the decision? I can't remember that. I remember not being given, and you were angry for 24 hours, and then you said, oh, that's football. This is the sport that I've played my entire life to change. I get that, stakes are higher these days with more money involved, and there are examples that we can think of, like Lampard's goal at the World Cup, England not getting through. It was against Germany, I remember. So I do think that it's unfortunate that those things were a part of football, but I can forgive you people looking at a screen or a video in slow motion and still getting it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm much more forgiving when it's one guy, and I think that the world is. So I just don't really feel like VAR is pushing football in the right direction. I really don't.
Yeah, I must say I agree with you in the sense of forgiving, human error versus you've got all these tools and you still haven't figured out how to use it after how many trials and, like you said, how many seasons. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The Gillian saying about the offside, that's also true. Like the offside thing is getting crazy at the moment where you basically need to be a mathematician to figure out whether the guy's offside or not.
It's wild.
The smallest piece of his shirt is offside. That's not giving him an advantage. So they really, if they're going to implement it this way, they're going to have to relook the actual rule of what is offside. Is it just a left can forward? Is it going momentum wise? Like if my momentum is going towards my attacker, but my back leg is, towards my defenders, and my back leg is offside, that's not an advantage for me because I'm moving away from where I want to go. So they're going to have to start looking at changing that rule, in my opinion.
But this is where I say, guys, VAR doesn't make the rules. And the problem here is the rules are the problem. Football's rules have changed in such a way that it's now not a limb. It used to be what? A limb?
100%.
It used to be an actual limb had to be offside. Like now your shirt is...
No, it's like... And to me, they need to change the rules to bring in the advantage thing. And I understand that also comes with grey areas. But whether or not it's an actual advantage that you're gaining from your 1 foot being offside or your 2 fingers being offside.
Unfortunately, lads, it's not going to change this season.
Yeah.
It's going to have a dog show for quite a few more games.
Yeah. So then United looked better this weekend. I didn't watch the game, but I've picked up now on Twitter that it seems like when you guys lose, it's completely the end of the world. And then whenever you guys pick up a win, everything's completely back on track again.
We were pretty shit that game. We were probably good for about 15 minutes. and I don't think Curtie's with us. I think he's frozen. But in that game, to be fair, great. Even the result says a different thing. Yes, when the bench came on, the bench made a difference, a huge difference when they came on. The whole game changed then, but there were players standing out. I mean, Mata was fantastic from the first whistle. He was brilliant.
Everywhere on Twitter, I was reading a lot about Mata being good.
He was absolutely brilliant. Like the combination between him, Donny, and Bruno was fantastic throughout the whole game. But it was 15. We just showed that a bit of quality. Like if that side's problem is consistency. And if they play consistently like they did for 15 minutes, they'll batter teams. The problem is that doesn't happen. There's maybe 25 minutes of consistency per game at this point in time. And that's not good enough at times. I mean, as you see, you can be 5-0 down if you like by 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's just consistency has to improve. I mean, you can't. We start the game off sluggish, slow, week in, week out, and I agree with Kyle. Donny needs to start week. There's somehow, some way they need to get him into the system because when he's on, he's the only one. He gives a bit of energy. I don't think team selection's been great. I'll be honest with you. I think the man management of Maguire has been shit show, like a shit show. I'm a firm believer, and I've said, and I've put it out there to people. I said I would have taken the armband away from him after the Greece situation because
I spoke about that.
I'm not saying get him out the club. Well, now I am because I don't rate him. But I'm saying at that point in time, you don't have to get him out the club, but take the armband away from him. I mean, this isn't back in the 90s where, Cantona can fly kick people and all those things. And, it's a different era now. Take the armband away.
Also, in my opinion, it's not even necessarily a punishment thing because it's still up in the air about what happened that night and whatever. But just take the armband off him for a while. Allow him to focus just on the football and on his personal stuff and not, on the captaincy as well. And you can sit him down and you can tell him, listen, we're going to give it away to someone else. We'll see how it goes. And then, you can have it back mid-season or at the end of the season or whatever.
That's the thing. And we were right. At the end of the day, we were right about it because he went over to England. It was a shit show when he played for the national team. He was even freaking worse playing for them. Got himself sent off there. You can see it's playing on his mind. I just don't think our man management in that situation in the club has been great. And I think it has been a hindrance. I honestly do. I think a lot to do with that Spurs result has got to do with leadership. A lot's got to do. Players not taking ownership, but also leadership. I mean, who's holding people accountable in that change room, except for players? And there's lots of talk that Bruno was having a go in the change room, and I think you're ever right. There's a guy that's taking it personally, a guy that's holding his fellow players accountable, and that's what you want at the end of the day.
Yeah, look, after a result like that, you need some chaos in your dressing room because people need to be upset. If there's not chaos in the dressing room after that result, you've got a bigger problem.
And that's what I say. This 4-1 has just filled the paper crack. Has just filled the crack a little bit for me. Like, it wasn't a fantastic game. Like from United's point of view, it was about 15 minutes of good football. It was 15 minutes of bench coming on, really performing, and we played 15 minutes of consistent football, and we showed what we can do if we show a bit of consistency. That's simple as that.
Yeah.
If you watch that game and you think tonight, if we don't show at least 45 minutes of consistency like we did on the weekend, or of that 15 minutes, we are screwed tonight.
Yeah. I was just going to bring up tonight and say that, it's PSG, obviously a different kettle of fish than Newcastle, and you're playing away. So yeah, if you only play 15 minutes of good football against a team like them, it's not gonna look well.
No. Maybe Kurtie can give us some more insight.
Good. We're just chatting about the Newcastle United game, or Newcastle versus United game this weekend. Looks like he's still on his delay.
Got a big delay on his side. There we go. He's back.
Is he?
Kurtie, you back?
Someone get this man some fiber.
Someone sponsor this guy some fiber.
Yeah. Well,
Jeffrey,
I'll tell you one thing.
Someone.
I was fuck this weekend watching the Chelsea game. If that makes you feel any better about some of your results.
I think my internet finally.
Yay!
But guys,
Good.
you have no idea how annoying this is. Sorry, I'm so sorry to people watching.
We're gonna
and to
get you.
guys.
We're gonna try and get you a fiber sponsor.
It won't always be like this. We're changing it now. We're actually changing our provider and whatever it is. So I'm so sorry. But what we were talking about, you were talking about something, Keegan. It sounded like you were talking about United because I heard pain in your voice.
Yes. I was saying
That's
we played. I said this weekend's game. Don't take the result as a great game. We played 15 minutes of football. 15 minutes of consistent football.
Yeah.
15 minutes. The rest of that game was pretty shite.
No, I know. It's always difficult though because I do think that, and I've been guilty of it too. And I'm not saying that you are. I just feel like there's always this overreaction now. It's always like really, really bad or really, really good. Much like the football. And I guess it is warranted. The reaction is warranted. I understand that, and I'm one of those very emotional supporters who wants to burn the shirt when we put a performance like that in against Brighton, against Crystal Palace in the first game of the season, and probably after tonight's game against PSG. I'm one of those people. But I also think that we are, we aren't helping the players. I think ultimately what it comes down to right now is the fact that there are players who are underperforming and might need a different approach from fans. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's our fault. I'm not trying to victim blame, if you will. But I do believe that we need to try and meet them halfway because there still are players out on the field trying to do their best every week. And when they do get into form, it doesn't last very long. And we want to, like I said, burn the shirt. We want to kick up a huge fuss. We cry for the glory days. We reminisce on our, trophy hauls under Sir Alex Ferguson. But I just don't think that that's helping anymore. You know what I mean? Like we have to accept at some point that we are helpless to what's happening with the board. We're helpless to what's happening with Ed Woodward, the Glazers. I don't think that there's anything we can do right now. And ultimately it comes down to the performances on the pitch. And we have to just try and get behind the players. Like Keegan, you will know from Twitter, I get so fucking frustrated when players underperform, especially guys who've been there for so long, like Luke Shaw, or like the more experienced players like Harry Maguire. I get frustrated when I see Wan-Bissaka, looking like, he has tentacles coming from his body when we spend 50 million on him. I get frustrated, but there are good players in that side. And if we really analyze where we were last season when we were on that, I think it was an 18 match unbeaten streak. If we compare that team, right, to the players or the performances now, it doesn't add up. There's something that's not quite there. And to me, it feels like it's more feeling than anything else. It's like a belief, a confidence problem, because they do have ability. All those players have ability. And I know that we didn't get the signings we wanted, but we did improve with 4 signings. We did improve. We brought Edinson Cavani in, Alex Telles, Donny van der Beek. Okay, this Facundo Palestra guy, I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
But the team is stronger, if you will, than it was last season. So there has to be better performances.
My thing is this, Kurt,
we just
and
have to
I
believe
have
that
nothing
it'll come.
against it. I have nothing against
Yeah.
any of what you just said. My issue is this. And I told Ryan while you were having some issues, is consistency is our biggest problem in this squad.
Huge problem, yeah.
And how long do you make excuses for a lack of consistency? Because what happens is we showed for 15 minutes when we play consistent football on the weekend, we will blow teams away. Okay?
Yeah.
15 minutes. We just took us to blow them away, out the water. My concern is with us is, I'm not saying it's a manager problem. Maybe it's just a whole feeling at the club, like you said. Maybe it's pressure from the fans. But you can't rock up every game with lackluster, mediocre consistency. It's happen every single week. And my concern is these players, if it's maybe it's how they're being. Maybe there's too much. We're talking about Bruno actually having a go, and actually there was talks. There was a go in the change room. Maybe maybe we need players starting keeping other players accountable for what's happening on the field. I don't think that's happening. I don't think there's players in that dressing room, enough players in that dressing room, keeping others accountable for poor performances on the field.
Yeah.
And we need more of those, and we need some of these guys start talking up a little bit. I mean, like,
yeah. No, I agree with you, Keeks. I just think that at the end of the day, the common denominator here is Manchester United, the entity, the club that is Manchester United, because we've had what is it now? Four different managers who've come in, and we kind of see the same pattern. You know, it's pretty much the exact same pattern with every new manager that comes in, which is why you and I will say things on Twitter like changing the manager is not really going to help what's happening.
No.
It's a sinking ship. It doesn't matter who the captain is. So I just feel, so I don't know. For me, it feels like it's a confidence issue at Manchester United that is made worse by fan pressure and frustration. And I don't think that that's our fault. We have all the right in the world to be frustrated. We have all the right in the world to voice our concerns and ask for these changes. But I do think that impacts performances too. So I'm not saying that we need to, completely go blind to what's happening, in the boardroom, but I do believe that that's where the issue lies. I think it was so
that's
clear.
That's where the pressure should be put. That's where we should be putting the pressure. There.
Exactly. And ultimately it will come down to performances on the pitch, because when a player like Pogba, who costs so much money, puts in a lackluster performance, we are calling for his head and we're calling for change. And that's why players like Pogba then will fall out of form for a long time. But when he's good, like in our 18 match unbeaten streak last season, he's fucking great. You know what I mean? And he's one of the best midfielders in the world. But we can't keep him there because, and this is what I think the issue is, there's always an overreaction. When we drop points, there's always an overreaction. We call for the manager's head. And I'm not saying you and I, I'm just saying Manchester United fans in general. I'm just going to, put us all under the same umbrella. Everyone calls for the manager's head. Everyone calls for this change. We overreact completely to when the team's in form and out of form. And I mean, to me, it was so clear that the first few games of the season where, the Palace defeat, the Brighton win barely, it was so clear to me that those players had zero confidence, that they were going into the season knowing that 90% of the fan base is not happy with the transfer business the club was doing, is not happy with certain players being on the pitch, i.e. Luke Shaw, maybe one or two others, players who just aren't performing. Like when you've got Dan James starting like this weekend, I was just thinking, there's no way this guy's good enough. But am I really helping the cause by just getting angry and saying, take him out the team, he's a championship level player? we've seen players play out of their socks. We've seen players perform above their level. So there's no reason Daniel James can't be that player for Manchester United. So yeah, I just feel like early on the season, it was very clear to me that players felt the atmosphere around the club, and it was affecting their performances. And I do think that, yes, this win over Newcastle is probably paper over the cracks. We'll probably, have a lot of dips in form this season. We'll probably have a lot of those kinds of results like at Crystal Palace, which is very, very unfortunate. But again, if we want to analyze it based on last season compared to the squad we have this season, it has strengthened. Maybe not in the areas that we wanted them to, but it has strengthened. The team is stronger, and we should be doing better. There aren't any more excuses for what the players are doing on the pitch. Again, I know that there are endless issues with the board, the Glazers, Woodward, etc., etc. We can go on about that forever, but at the end of the day, there can't be any more excuses for performances on the pitch.
But talking about that, isn't that where our fan base is so split? Because you've got glory hunt, you've got the glory hunter side of things that only know the Fergie sides of things. You've got supporters of United that understand the boardroom problems. And we always said, I mean, we've had this chat a lot. The club is rotten, and it's all starts upstairs. The club's rotten to the core, and it's finally made its way. The rot's made its way to the pitch.
Yeah,
and it's only a matter of time. It always takes a few years for it to get down there in any situation. You probably feel the same way as being a Barca fan right now, as the last few months has probably hit pitch side quite badly on that side. Because boardroom troubles. So you look at it and you go,
maybe it's not the boards, maybe it's just whoever Kurt supports.
That
fuck. Ryan, I'm the common denominator.
But I look at it, I'm saying fans need to start taking the right fight and start picking the right fight. And the ones that are very results based, and I've said this for a while, if we both said it for a while, change the manager, we'll have a honeymoon period, we'll go back to the shithouse where we've been. Wow, it's happened 4 times in a row. But we need to start putting pressure on that board. You need to start, unfortunately, and you hate to see big clubs do, got to start boycotting games, got to start buying merchandise, got to start doing these small, stupid little things that actually give this club money, because this board only listens, or they only care about bottom lines. And once that bottom line gets hurt, things will have to start changing. It's the way. We have another Barca fan. That's unfortunate.
But I might say just getting back to what Kurt spoke about earlier with regards to how, the fans laying into players and player confidence and that. I've started thinking the exact same thing with Kepa, with his dip in form and the way that everyone's going for his head and making him such a person. And you can see, even if you watch like behind the scenes training videos and stuff, you can see Kepa is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders at the moment. And he's a youngster. He shouldn't be under that much pressure from our own fans. And what puts me off is, fair enough, he has had a dip in form. We all know that. He's not a bad goalkeeper. I mean, when he was in form, he was fucking good for us. He outplayed De Gea for Spain. Talent is there. He just needs to find that back, whether that means training harder or means going to see a psychologist or whatever. But the last thing he needs is, like, when you concede 3 goals, you fucked up maybe 1 or 2 of them. You don't need all the fans to jump on your back as well.
Well, Ryan, that's exactly what the modern day football fan has become. You know what I mean? Like, the constant bashing, and it's been made worse by social media. This never used to happen. 10. I mean, Keegan, can you imagine, back in the day when Manchester United put in a poor performance? I mean, the only abuse they got was when they were walking off the pitch. You know what I mean? That was it. There was
in the pub, but we didn't really see it.
No, exactly. There was no going home and chilling on your phone and scrolling Twitter to see death threats and somebody, with no fucking AVI and 3 followers telling you that they're going to murder your family. You know what I mean? Like there was none of that. There was just you got your immediate reaction from fans on match day as you were heading for the tunnel at the end of it, and that was it. Your coach told you that you played cuck, and then you try to come back next week stronger. These days, you fuck up, you make a mistake, and it's cut into a short clip that stays on the internet forever, and that little clip of you circulates forever, and people always remember that clip and they always go back to it, and whatever you do they will link you to that clip. Whatever you write on Twitter, they will they're in your comment section. So I think players are very aware of that. They see that. They have phones just like we do. I know that a lot of them, especially the big players, will have people run their social media accounts and stuff like that, but the majority of them don't. The majority of them operate their own phones, and they will see all of these horrible messages that they get. And I mean, when Kepa made those errors, who was it against? And I'm not talking about the most recent one. It was
not against.
Yeah, I know which one. Like I felt sorry for him immediately. I was like, fuck, that sucks, man, because this guy is a human being. He's super young, and his confidence is being killed, and it's ultimately coming to the point where you don't return from that. You know what I mean? Like Karius at Liverpool experienced the same thing a couple of years ago. You don't return from that. You don't get a second chance. You are ostracized, and the fans will never forgive you, and all you become is a meme, and that's it.
Even the
now
new,
you're going out on
even
loan.
the new fans.
The problem is
now
we've got Mendy in, who's obviously also just to plug a hole, basically, I think. But even when he does come good now, right? How is he ever going to really bond with the fans of a club that was out of form, fucked him up like this?
Yeah. Well, exactly.
I'm going, dude, get another club where someone will appreciate you because you are good, and
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? In certain situations, I don't feel sorry for the player. Like, for example, and I don't think that he's being abused very badly online, but for a player like Eden Hazard to go to Real Madrid and rock up to 2 preseasons overweight and to have the injury fitness issues and stuff like that. So he isn't helping himself. And I feel like all the criticism he gets is absolutely warranted. And in cases like that, it's like, you know what, you kind of asked for it. But when a player like Kepa or any player for that matter, young player who is struggling for form, is being abused like that and is getting attacked online like that, and it's affecting their mental health undoubtedly, I just feel sorry for that person. And I just wish that the modern fan would be less fucking fickle and aggressive, especially online.
What I've started doing for quite a while now is, if you're gonna, if I'm gonna point out that, okay, that was another mistake by Kepa, fair enough, I'm allowed to point that out because,
of course.
But don't fucking at the guy. Just
tag him into it. You don't need to tag the guy into it.
You know what the funny? Yeah, when a guy's playing a fucking game and people are atting him, I'm thinking, do you think he has his phone on you, on him or something? Like, why are you atting a guy who's, firstly, he's never going to see your at while he's playing a football game, and secondly, absolutely. I mean, all the comments, like,
if I post something about whoever, Werner or whoever, having a good game, I'll at them because maybe they see it and maybe, my opinion.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Obviously it doesn't. But yeah, if it's a cuck tweet, if it's a negative tweet, send it out into the world, fair enough, but just don't tag the people. They don't need
we're not saying people can't have their opinions. We're just saying,
of course. I think, you know what it is? It's just being more aware.
We can all be say like I have a go at Luke Shaw freaking every United game, and the fact is, like, from him, I do. But the fact is, I've never tweeted it. I've never
Exactly.
and be like, "You shit, mate." I'll be
Yeah.
like, "No, I've rather been like, he should be a championship
Yeah.
player. He should leave my
Yeah.
club." But
Yeah.
I'm not really going to at him into the whole thing. It's just those things
Exactly.
like that doesn't help. And I think that's the biggest problem we have in football culture right now is people think that their opinion matters so much that they need to go and let that singular person know what they think about them.
But what,
Yeah,
pro-
but
what
that's just social media and hiding behind a screen. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what the modern day. I mean, that's in every industry. I mean, whether you are an actor, whether you are a musician, that's what it's become now. You know, you are just
Yeah.
being abused 24 hours a day. That's it. You go on Twitter and someone's saying something bad about you if you are in the public eye. But like Kylie just commented there in the comment section now about being more humane. That's what I wanted to say was like you just need to be more aware of what you are doing and am I contributing negatively? Am I, could I be the reason that this guy goes into a deep depression? You know what I mean? Like we have to think that extremely. I just feel like we
The
need to be
problem
more aware.
is they think they've got this mentality of, fuck, these guys earn a fortune, so fuck them,
Yeah.
they need
Yeah.
to shut up.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you paying me. If you're gonna keep slating me off, I'm not gonna feel good about it.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah, absolutely.
that you're gonna be okay with that.
Yeah.
Technically, the
like,
paycheck has got fuck all to do with you at the end of the day as well. Like
Yeah.
it literally has nothing to do with you. Okay, so like the guys that are sitting in the stadiums having season ticket, they can boycott other ways and have go. You can have your go at the stadium, like we're saying. Back in the old,
of
you know,
course.
when you were having a bad one, like
Yeah.
but it, Monday morning comes and it's all over. But
No, exactly.
age, not in today's age. It's constant. Karius is the great example, Kurt. Even when he goes to a new club on loan, those new fans, or supposed to be his new fans, are on his back from what he was doing at Liverpool and the club before. And
Exactly. Yeah.
You never.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys touched on it earlier when I was having connection issues, but the same kind of applies to the Harry Maguire situation. I think I've made my feelings on Harry Maguire very clear time and time again in terms of what I think about him as a footballer. But I do think that a lot of the reactions, a lot of stick that he's getting online, it is a little over the top. And of course, it's going to affect him. And what happened in Greece, whether his version of events are true or not, it will affect him. And when he has such a bad game, I mean, that performance against Spurs before the international break was one of the worst individual performances I've seen from a centre-back in a long, long time. He was at fault for 2 goals, or the first 2 goals, and was no good for the rest of the match. And then went on international break.
I went, Kurt, hold my beer. Let me play for England quickly.
And then he went, exactly. And then I don't know if you guys saw, but did you see the tackle he got sent off for?
Yeah.
Which was completely his own doing because of his terrible first touch that made him make that rash challenge. And then I think it was 5 minutes earlier, there was a time where he tried to do the same thing on the touchline. He controlled the ball, but it was a very, very bad touch. And he overstretched and he looked like he did his hamstring, which is, I guess, the reason he's missing tonight. We'll just play along, Ollie. We'll play along. But I just feel like, those performances, of course, are going to affect you in a big, big way. So at first, I thought to myself, like, when everyone had sympathy for him, I was at first like in my little fan bubble, and I was thinking, well, other players don't get this sort of sympathy by English media. Why are you guys doing this just to, your England centre back and an England international? Why are you treating him differently than you would treat a Raheem Sterling or Paul Pogba? Which of course is a whole different conversation. But no, at the end of the day, that doesn't excuse the majority of fans from treating him that way. And I feel like, we just need to be a bit more, what's the word? Conscious of how we might be making things worse.
Well, we touched on while you were on, and that's exactly what we said. We said that when you were struggling with connection, we were saying that. Well, I was saying that. Yes, I'm not a fan, and I'd prefer probably not to have him. But at the end of the day, he's at our club. But I think our management around players, and especially him, has been poor. I would have taken the armband away from him. That doesn't mean that he's never going to get it back, but it takes less of the guy.
Yeah.
It allows you to actually rest the guy. If you take the armband away, he can get his head right.
Yeah.
We were all proved right, saying his head was nowhere. 6-1 Spurs, his performance for England. That's not a guy that should be having added pressure of an armband and leading one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Well, which is why I think that it's convenient that he's been left out for the PSG game. I tweeted it earlier. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but with players like Mbappe and Neymar running at you when you have had a month like he has, or 2 months like he has, that could send you into a downward spiral, a worse spiral. It could get ugly. It could get really ugly. Those guys, when they're on form, they don't just beat you, but they humiliate you. And Maguire could have been victim to that tonight. So very interesting that he's been left out. But yeah, I mean, do you guys, Keegan, do you think that it's definitely because of the injury, or do you think that there's a bit of protection going on?
I don't think it's not much.
I think it might be both. It might be both.
I think there is a niggle, but not niggle enough to be left out. I think. I haven't seen him on the training videos, to be honest with you. He might have.
I'm not sure. Look, I did see against Newcastle as well. I do think that there is a niggle, like you just said. I did see against Newcastle.
He did pull up slightly.
Yes, it looked like he might have actually. He was going to come off for a while, for about 5 minutes. It looked like he was slightly uncomfortable. So I do think that there's probably a knock there.
But I'd also think confidence-wise, I think yes, he got the win, he got the goal on the weekend, which sort of maybe put him in a better headspace. But with a round, it wouldn't surprise me if it was just also after him mentally, because
you know what,
you need a bit of dog, and I'm saying like we need dog in our team, and the guy who's leading us tonight, there's dog in him. He's got dog in him. You're not just gonna get rid of him. He's gonna in your face. He's gonna scream at you. He's probably gonna dive around like he does sometimes, and he's going to fouls, and he's gonna be screaming at the referee. And I love you. Not we have a captain like that. That's what.
But of course, I mean, the thing with Bruno is that not only does he demand 110% from everybody else, but himself first before anyone else. And that's what I love about him. He holds himself accountable. When he's having a bad game, you can see it on his face. All he wants to do is make amends. And I mean, against Newcastle, he gave the ball away about 5 or 6 times in like a short period. But then he kind of made up for it with that great finish for the second goal to put us in the lead. So I love players like that. He was captain at Sporting Lisbon. Look, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but he was captain at Sporting Lisbon for a while, and he was a great captain. And I mean, you guys have probably seen that video of him exploding in the dressing room after I think he had been sent off, or I can't remember what happened. But that's the kind of guy that I want leading my team every game, 100%. That's the kind of guy who can back it up with ability as well.
All right.
So tell us your frustration.
We got sidetracked.
You can quickly touch on 3-0 up, 3-0, 3-0.
Sorry, Ryan.
I'm actually quite happy that Kurt joined just in time so that I didn't have to speak about Chelsea. So hopefully next week when we have a chat again, it'll be more positive than the fuck up of this weekend. But I thought let's quickly finish off with just win, lose, or draw.
I'll give you an update. I'll give you an update scores. There's games on now already. I'll give you an update. There's games on now. I'll give you an update on scores quickly. Okay, Zenit and Brugge are still 0-0, and Kiev and Juve are still 0-0.
Okay, so win, lose, or draw. I'm just gonna spot pick a couple couple of the games. Okay, we'll leave the two that's being played. First up, Lazio versus Dortmund. Keegan, who wins who?
I got to pick my German side, Dortmund, to win.
Fair enough. Good.
Fuck. Do I have to choose win? Draw? I can't say win draw, right? I can't. This isn't the betting slip, eh? I can't say win draw for Dortmund. Okay. Well, I would say I'm gonna go with Keegan, and I'm gonna go with Dortmund because that's my favorite team in Germany too. And there it is.
That's not a bad shout though to do a win or a draw.
No, win draw and Dortmund.
Then Chelsea against Seville at home. Chelsea at home.
What's
I'm
your
gonna go Chelsea at home? Chelsea to win at home.
Yeah,
But it's gonna be close. Like
it's gonna be a difficult game. It's the most difficult game, except when we play them away for the group stages. But I think we'll take it. I'll put Chelsea down.
I would say Chelsea too, actually. Sevilla is a very good side, but Chelsea at home.
Keegan, you also said Chelsea, eh?
yeah, like 2-1, like close.
PSG and United. We'll finish off with this one. PSG and United.
I'm gonna go draw. I think it's gonna be 2-2. I called this afternoon already. 2-2, boys.
I'm gonna be Debbie Downer and say 2-1 down.
How many?
2-1 down. 2-1 PS.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, I won't put a score to it, but I'll put PSG down for the win as well.
I don't think honestly, guys. I know that all we've been doing is slagging United off, but I don't think United are losing tonight. Tonight's the kind of game that we get a result out of.
I agree with you. But I'd rather be wrong.
Oh no, you're playing Chelsea this weekend, eh? I was just about to say fuck it up against some small club this weekend.
Yeah,
we are. Chelsea's that small club in
the
London.
shoe fits. The shoe fits.
Almost, but I did catch myself in time at least.
We're gonna catch that. We're gonna beat that small club in London on Monday. On Sunday.
You're not playing Arsenal just yet.
Oh. Yeah,
right, guys.
It should be fun tonight.
Let's wrap this up. We got football to watch. Thank you to Jillian and Kylie May.
Yes, thank you two ladies.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll chat again probably next week, same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, guys, I just want to say before we go, these internet issues that I have will not always be around. Okay, I promise you. I am working on it.
Talk to the fans. The fans want to know why your internet issues.
I need you guys to stick with me. I need you guys to stick with me.
We'll stick with you. We won't at you on Twitter. It's fine.
Please, guys,
Yeah,
just bear with me. I'm sorry to the people who are watching and saw me logging out every 5 seconds. I'm sorry. I will be better. But thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Kylie, I'm just double jinxing. It is good vibes. If I tell players they trash, they end up proving wrong. So that's all I'm doing. I'm putting those vibes out into the universe.
It's kind of like taking them out of your fantasy league team, that sort of effect, and then having them score a hat trick.
Yes, take the captaincy away from someone, and then he becomes the top goal scorer of the week.
That's right. I did want to touch on just quickly. Thank you for Timo Werner for finally coming good as my FPL captain.
Was your captain? I kept him in my side, but I didn't captain him. I actually wanted to, and now I regret that.
Probably I captained him every week up till now. So
I captain Bruno, so
yours. All right, guys. Enjoy the football.
Right, guys.
Let's hope.
I'm sure we'll have a few chats on Twitter tonight.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited for these games, boys. Can't wait.
It's about time.
Are you watching United or Barcelona tonight, Kurt?
Keegan, listen, I know that listen to me. No, Keegan, listen to me. I know that I'm a Barcelona fan, but when Manchester United is on, I watch Manchester United. I know that I've threatened to boycott on many occasions, but I watch Manchester United when they play. I promise you.
I'm just asking. I'm not in the office
through
anymore.
thick and thin. Through fucking.
I'm not in the office. I'm not in the office anymore to interrogate you, so I've got to do it some other ways.
Fair enough.
Cheers, friend. Have a good
Cheers,
one.
guys.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for the chat, boys.